I think we can probably just start. This is
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I have put a few points into this document on the agenda. Let's start with the first one. That's the credentials for the 3 bot users. The point is, these 3 bot users, Jochen added them to the working group document. And the issue is that these 3 bot users now need to accept the invitation to the Cloud Foundry org because they were not yet part of this org. And yeah, we can't continue here because we do not have the credentials. And I mean, there's one thing you could maybe organize somehow that somebody accepts the invitation. And the second thing is we should, I guess, eventually bring these credentials somehow into the community, and I don't know, into the GitHub or wherever is a safe place. That's something that Jochen can then organize. But question number 1 is, do you have the credentials of these 3 bot users? Or do you know how to obtain them?
I think I have the credentials of the older bot users, but I don't. If Johan just changed the name, right? He didn't replace the token for the 3 bot users. It's still the older token.
Something I don't know. I'm
Okay. If it's I can't remember if he replaced it with a whole new bot or whether he just changed the committer title. If he did the former, then I don't have the credentials for the new bot. I have the credentials for the old bot, or the old bots, I should say, because there used to be 3.
I think he just used the old ones because the pipelines are still working. Everything is fine. And Jochen doesn't have any credentials, so he could not change anything. That's what he told me.
Okay.
And now the org automation runs and tries to assign these 3 bots into a certain team in this, how was it called, work group up runtime deployments bots team.
Yeah.
And this one fails because the bot user itself needs to accept the invitation.
All right. Let me have a look. I guess it would pop up pretty quickly, right? If github.com. Nope. I may not be able to sign in. Hang on. They all use an old Pivotal email address that forwards to a mailing list that I'm not a part of, but that WebDave is a part of. So last time I had to access these, I ended up having to reach out to him. Yep. I can't log in without let me see. Where's the PR to add them? I guess they're already in our working group, right?
They're already in, right? But the automation now always lists them. If you go, let's say, to this URL, I will put it in the chat. This is a team where they should be added. And if you then go to members, you see 3 pending members. And if I click there,
yeah,
I see the 3 bots at least. I think I can edit invitation. I don't know what it means. Let me check.
I followed the link that you sent, and I just see the existing members in the bots.
You don't see the invitations.
No.
Okay.
But I do see when I move to the app runtime deployments working group MD page, I can see the ones who are listed.
Yeah, I can. Oh, that looks a bit strange. If I copy it out, everything is duplicated, but the names are inside. I will just send it. It looks a bit strange now, but these are the names. I try to copy, but it's a web page, and then you get everything a little bit disformatted. Yeah, that's a problem.
Whoa, yeah, I don't know what I just received. It sent me like the profile pictures of the bot accounts.
Okay.
Doesn't
Go.
Regardless, I think I know. Yeah, it just sent me 4 pictures of the profile pictures of the bot account. Regardless, with the link that I sent, I can see the 3 that we're trying to add.
Yeah, exactly. These are the 3.
Yeah, I can't log in because they require, like I said, they're all using an old Pivotal account with 2-factor auth set up that I can't access. So we'll have to talk to Dave to log in and authorize Cloud Foundry. I think at that point it's probably a good idea to either change the emails on these accounts or just create a new bot GitHub that we could use with this ARD working group as the bot.
That's another option, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Dave. Maybe him and I can have a look at whether we could just change the email to something else. Is there like
Yeah, that's a good question. Is there any email we could use? Yeah, that is that's a good question. I mean, it doesn't make sense to use Jochen's business email address because, let's say, if there's a change, then again the problem is on the table. That's not a good idea. Maybe we can ask the TOC if there's one generic
bot email.
Or the CFF Foundation maybe has an email for such. That would be. We can ask Chris Clark about it.
Okay.
It's maybe good. I can take that with me and ask in the TOC. That's a good question. But anyway, just to unblock it, maybe Dave can approve it for now. But the problem is not solved. That's definitely true. And when we have such an email, we can then make that somehow. Try to clean it up. That's an interesting question.
Okay. So I'll take an action item to hit up Dave.
Okay. Which just write it down so that I don't forget it directly.
Where is the new Cred Hub hosted these days? Because I'm gonna need to be able to access the Cred Hub to link back the names.
I think it is part of this Concourse deployment, right? There's at least one.
But since we updated the Concourse deployment, I don't know where our Concourse deployment lives anymore.
Okay.
Like it used to be in Bosch Community Concourse or whatever, right? It used to be in Bosch Community Stem Cell CI Infra.
No, there's meanwhile a separate project that's called, it's part of the working group, something with infrastructure, I guess RRD infrastructure or something like that. Let me check.
I searched and I found app runtime deployments infrastructure in Cloud Foundry. I don't see a script or anything to access CredHub though, so I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do it. Oh, here, scripts concourse. Start CredHub CLI. Interesting.
Runtime deployments infrastructure and,
Yeah.
and inside this repository. Yeah, but is one references concourse scripts. I'm afraid we have here to wait. Secrets rotation in from backend app.
There is a start CredHub CLI script. Does it work? I don't know. Not this again.
I'm afraid here we need Jochen.
I think I can make this script work, but yeah, if I can't, I'll wait for you. What else is on the agenda today?
Let me check. Okay. Yeah, then the next thing would be the branch protection, but here we can only continue once we have the 3 bots in this team, because otherwise we would log out. That's a bad idea. So we keep the PR open until this is solved. And once it is done, I would talk to Jochen to merge it and, if necessary, clean up anything that if it does some, because it's our working group is the first one to try it out. So
yeah,
we will see what comes up.
That makes sense.
Okay, then the next point. That's an interesting question. There is one UAA client with the name CF. I put here a discussion into the chat. It's actually on the CLI repo. There were some requests from within SAP that some users of certain service, they just wanted to use the CF API to in a programmatic way to do some service bindings or whatever. All good. They have users that could do that. But in order to programmatically use the CF API, you need a JOT token, obviously. The JOT token you get from the UAA. With username password, there's this password grant flow. But in order to do that, you need a UAA client. So the credentials for the UAA, basically. And here, there is no documentation which client to use. Of course, there is a CF client. Everybody knows that the CF CLI uses. It has no secret. It has all the proper scopes. So technically, everything is in place. But it is nowhere noticed or written down that the CF client exists, that it can be used, and that this can be regarded as an API. And the interesting question, I asked that in several areas, is who actually owns it? Is it the CLI? Is it UAA? Is it the API? Or is it CF deployment? Technically, I mean, CF API says, well, you need a JOT token. I don't care how you get it. UAA says, I don't care about the CF client. It's just content, right? So we don't own it. CLI could own it or configured. It is actually in the manifest of CF deployment. So basically, my question is, who owns it? And the second thing is, do you have any objections if we would declare this client as API and document it somewhere? I mean, it is there for years. There's nothing.
I guess I'm not totally sure I understand the problem here. The CF CLI uses this client ID CF and no one knows who owns it.
Well, if you search the documentation of CF, that's what is available to external users. It's nowhere mentioned. It's not documented, and therefore it's difficult to say this is API. That's basically all. So 2 sentences somewhere in the documentation would solve this problem for us. But the question is that okay to add that? would be there. So I'm asking around now, and then I guess I will file a few PRs to add that to the documentation. So the copy team said we have no problems with that. I don't see technical issues at all. I mean, we should talk about it in this working group because CF deployment somehow configures this client, right? It's specified in the manifest of CF. I could also raise this question on the CLI Slack channel if somebody has objections. I would be surprised. I mean, it's you can't change it effectively, right? Everything would break. That's it is API de facto, but it's nowhere documented.
If you want to make some PRs related to this, I'm fine with it. I don't fully. It sounds like we just need documentation that the CF thing equals the API. Okay.
That's all. Yeah. There's nothing to do on a technical side or no configuration.
Yeah.
Everything is there. It's in place. And this question came just up. And if, let's say, some teams in companies like SAP would like to write this down in their own documentation, then of course they need to reference something else to say this is really valid. I mean, documentation for companies, I guess, is for you the same. It's like legally binding stuff. So you should not write something where you are not sure of. That's why we ask a little bit around. And
okay.
Yeah, I guess I will then answer on this discussion and say I talked to API and to CF deployments working group, and there are no objections to document it. And then I would propose to file a PR. I don't know yet where, but just to mention that this client exists and is stable and can be used. And then it's solved.
Sounds good to me.
Good.
On another note, I'm surprised that this was on GitHub discussions. Have people started using GitHub discussions?
That's where this colleague opened. It's offered, you know, you come to.
Fair enough.
The more features exist, the more it is used. Yep, and then the final point that I have is just to make you aware there's this open thing with configuring CF Linux FS4 as a default stack, this issue on CF deployment, and we would probably start in the next weeks to make that happen. Because now the PHP build pack is there, so all the prerequisites exist. And end of April is also approaching soon.
Okay.
So I guess we would then file a new CF deployment release, I don't know, 28 or whatever, a major release where we say from now on, CF Linux FS4 is integrated into the main manifest. It is the default. We would not yet remove CF Linux FS3. I guess we need to adapt a little bit the validation procedure so that everything runs on CF Linux FS4. And this build pack test runs then on CF Linux FS3 so that until end of April, the old build packs are also a little bit tested so that we don't have regressions.
Makes sense. I'm game. Should be, if we pull in that ops file, then delete that ops file, pull in the other one, delete it. Pull the third ops file.
Maybe we offer an ops file to switch CF Linux FS3 back as a standard would be nice.
That's a good idea.
It's just a little modification.
Yeah.
And then later we will re-add experimental ops files to add CF Linux FS3, because then we will remove CF Linux FS3 from the vanilla installation. That was the idea. That's another ticket, and that comes then, beginning of May, I would say, or end of April. I leave it to Jochen to decide when.
Okay.
But close to the state when
step 2.
Ubuntu runs out of support.
Okay. We should. I'm just gonna add your note to the issue about adding a ops file to make CF Linux FS3 the default stack again. We need. All right. That all makes sense. It's moving pretty quickly, but we kind of need to move pretty quickly. So I get it.
Yep. To say it like this, we actually move faster for our big landscape. So we are now about already to switch CF Linux 4 as a default, and we plan to run a pretty harsh force migration of all old apps to the new stack with a risk to break them.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, management reserves the
hardcore.
right to to stop that at the last moment, and would not be surprised if this happens. But that's our plan to. At the end of the day, it's security versus business. Yeah,
Stability.
keep the apps
Yeah.
running, and that's a bit tricky decision.
Mhm.
No matter what you do, yeah, you lose.
Yeah. I'm scared for this rollout on the open source side and the closed source side on the VMware side. It's going to be tricky.
That's right.
But yeah.
I mean, on the open source side, I don't see it because everybody who has some serious landscapes, they have ops files to control this, no matter what the defaults are. So this is, I think, I also announced this in the TOC that we are planning to do that because Jochen gave the working group update on Tuesday. And here Eric was listening, oh, what are you doing? And then we explained you will have an ops file and you can add it back. And he said, okay, that seems to work. So I guess. Not sure what you plan for your closed source foundations and for the customers,
either.
but at the end of the day, yeah. If they are private cloud deployments not sitting in the internet, okay, you have a bit more freedom, but we have public paths, and here I think we need to be more strict. At least that's the current policy. Let's see. We will know in May what has happened.
Yeah, that's right. Better for worse. It was pretty cool that all the tests went green with CF Linux FS4 though.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we have now the full build tech coverage because here we got not so positive feedback because we explained you have to migrate until end of April no matter what, and then say, oh, but what can we do? The build techs are not there. Yes, that's a bit difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Good. Any other issues or plans or changes that you have?
Yeah, I cut a release of CF deployment concourse tasks that included the Go 120 bump. So our whole pipeline should be back on Go 120 now, or has now been moved on to Go 120, and it looks like things are working, so that's good. I think that theoretically that would have broken cats without the CGO change. and I was worried that more things were going to break when we did this, but seems relatively calm so far, so that's good.
So this is already in the pipelines. Yeah.
I believe so, yeah, because I merged the commit to make it go 120, and then I cut a new release, and I think that our pipelines just use latest, so they should be on go 120 now.
Oops. Something.
It's so nice when they're all green.
Okay.
Oh, when are we going to be able to kill this bionic stem cell validation pipeline?
That's a good question. I mean, after end of April, from May,
Okay.
the only question is whether we want to keep it because it would help us a bionic stem cell. Bionic stem cell. Okay. I was still on the stack. No, that's a different thing. Bionic stem cell, I would say we can kill it. I write it down as so that Jochen can read and make up the mind. I think we can kill it. There's no reason to keep it. We should not use bionic anywhere anymore, and can then also,
Yeah, I think we added this pipeline some time ago now at that, and it was just during the period of migration to the jammy stem cell, so that anyone who is still using the bionic stem cell would still have their stuff validated for a little bit. But
let's do it with the next major release, and then we write into the release notes that the bionic stem cell is not supported anymore.
Okay, I'm good with that. It's so nice that we can just cut a major release whenever we want and include whatever.
Oh yeah, that really works well.
Cool. I think is that everything?
That's everything.
All right. Up to my next meeting then. Good chatting with you.
Okay. Have a good day and see you.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.